Acts chapter 18. Yesterday we went over Paul in his visit in Athens. After this, Paul left Athens and went to Corinth. There he met a Jew named Aquila and his wife Priscilla, who had left Italy because Claudius had ordered the Jews to leave Rome. Paul was a tent maker, so he went to help them setting up tents, and he was working with them in Corinth. And every Sabbath he would go to the synagogue to reason with people and try to persuade the Jews and the Greeks to believe in Jesus. Silas and Timothy came from Macedonia, so Paul had devoted himself exclusively to preaching and testifying to the Jews Jesus was the Messiah. They became pretty abusive towards him, so he shook his clothes off in protest, and he said to them, "Your blood be on your own heads. I am innocent of it. From now on, I will go to the Gentiles." Paul left the synagogue, went to the house of Titus Justus, and Crispus, the synagogue leader, and his entire household believed in Jesus. Many of the Corinthians who heard Paul also believed, and they were baptized. And then Jesus came to Paul in a vision one night, said, "Do not be afraid. Keep on speaking. Do not be silent, for I am with you, and no one is going to attack or harm you, because I have many people in this city." So Paul stayed in Corinth for a year and a half, teaching them the word of God. There's a guy who was a proconsul in Achaia named Gallio. The Jews of Corinth brought Paul in front of this man for judgment, saying, "This man is persuading the people to worship God in ways contrary to the law." Gallio says back to them, "If you Jews were making a complaint about some misdemeanor or serious crime, it would be reasonable for me to listen to you. But since it involves questions about words and names and your own law, settle the matter amongst yourselves." So the Jews turned on their synagogue leader at that point and beat him in front of Gallio, and this Gallio guy did not care at all. Paul finally leaves Corinth, sails for Syria, accompanied by Aquila and Priscilla. Before he left, he removed his hair because he had taken a vow. Doesn't say what vow, but he took one. They arrived in Ephesus, where Paul separates from Priscilla and Aquila. He goes to the synagogue to preach to the Jews. And they asked him to spend more time there with him, but he had to go. He promises, "I will come back if it's God's will." They set sail for Caesarea, went up to Jerusalem, greeted the church for a little while, and then went down to Antioch. Spent some time there, traveled through Galatia and Phrygia, strengthening the disciples in all the areas. There was a Jew named Apollos from Alexandria. He was very smart and he knew the scriptures, spoke with great fervor, and taught accurately about Jesus, though he had only heard of the baptism of John. Priscilla and Aquila go to the synagogue and they hear him teaching about Jesus. They invite him home so they can teach him the way of God more adequately. Apollos wanted to go to Achaia. Brothers and sisters there all encouraged him, wrote to the disciples there to welcome him, and when he arrived, he was a great help to all of those new believers. Vigorously refuted his Jewish opponents in public, using the scriptures to prove that Jesus was the Messiah. That's it for chapter 18 today, guys. Tomorrow we'll pick up with Paul going back to Ephesus. Might behoove you to look up a map of the area. You'll see that they're just kind of going in a circle. Remember to stick your nose in here yourself and come to your own conclusions about anything I or anyone else tells you. And remember to ask yourself, what are you doing with your salvation?